Okay, now I start. Good afternoon and namaste to you all. Welcome to you on this virtual talk sharing program. Well, I'm Subhash Teyung, the host cum organizer of this virtual talk. And well, I a bit specifically would like to extend my welcome to our special persons today. Here with us, we have our emeritus professors, Professor Dr. Govinda Tumbang, the former and the first governor of province number 1, and Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel. So with due respect, welcoming you from the depth of my heart, also request you to stay as the summing up or for the summing of this virtual talk. And now I just would like to go to the speakers of today. And well, our speakers are Associate Professor Gyaneshwar Jha, Lecturer Jivan Kumar Rai, Lecturer Asmita Bista, Mr. Ram Dahal, Mr. Suresh Rai. You 5 are the speakers, and Mr. Here, Associate Professor Gyaneshwar Jha is my teacher in my master's, Lecturer Jivan Kumar Rai, my teacher in my master's, and Lecturer Asmita Madam as well, the lecturer in my master's, Mr. Ram Dahal, my senior and colleague, and Mr. Suresh Rai, my senior and also my friend. So I would like to welcome you and would like to request you to stay for the speaker on this virtual talk. And now for the reflection, we have here 5 members here, and first here Dr. Ramesh Ijam sir, Dr. Ranjiti Malsina sir, Mr. Yuvraj Subedi sir, Ms. Usha Keshi, Lecturer Kamal Raj Dahal sir, and I would like to welcome you and also would like to request to stay for the reflection on this virtual talk. And well, now, and similarly, I would like to welcome to all the participants. Many participants are yet to join as they have got interested or they have promised, but we will be admitting them. And I would like to extend my warm welcome to entire participants on this virtual talk. There are my colleagues, my friends and teachers, lecturers, and so on. Similarly, I would like to welcome my co-host, Mr. Mohan Tigala as well. He's greatly assisting me. And now I would like to say about the format of our program. Well, we know very well I have not included the schedule or posted the schedule since it is just a virtual talk. And well, first, as the best wishes speech, our Professor Dr. Govinda Tumbang will speak, and thereafter speakers will start speaking, followed by the reflectors. And after this talk and reflection finishes, thereafter we start our question answer session. And in question answer session, the participants, if they have questions, they can ask the question. Otherwise, they can put their queries or they can also come up with their own views. And thereafter, our professors will sum up the program, or with concluding note, they will come up with us. And finally, my co-host, on the behalf of organizer and host, Mr. Mohan Tigala, will extend thanking note. And I, as the host, will adjourn the meeting or this talk. This is for the format. And well, now I would like to talk a little about the purpose of this virtual talk. Well, the main purpose of this virtual talk is simply to gather the English teachers here to share our views, and mostly the teachers who taught in my master's or in our master's level. For this, this talk has been being conducted. And another purpose is, of course, we are under lockdown. So this lockdown has created a long gap between teachers and between teachers and students and so on. And this sort of talk may help us to get engaged in scholarly work to some extent. It's for another purpose. And of course, these are the minor purposes. With these purposes, we are here. And at this very moment, I would like to remember some of our teachers today. Although I made my great effort, I could not get into contact with some of our teachers like Dr. Indira Mishra Madam, Hemchandra Adhikari sir, Mr. Bidur Rai sir, Sri Kumar Rai sir, and similarly Mohan Pokhrel sir, and so on, and Mohan Tumbang sir as well. And due to their technological problem or so on, I used only this messenger as the means of communication to conduct this program. So since I could not get contact with them by messenger, I could not include them despite my great effort. And at this very moment, I would like to remember Dr. Ram Naran Kandangwa as well. He was the first speaker of a pandemic discourse that I conducted some weeks back. But due to his physical ailment, he is not being able to join us today. And at this very moment, I wish him his very quick recovery from here. And well, and now I'd like to talk a little about the theme of our talk sharing program. And the theme is lockdown, indispensability, impacts and incongruities. And we know very well we are under lockdown as the main measure against this corona pandemic. We are implementing this lockdown, and more than 45 countries in the world have implemented this lockdown. And so in Nepal, we have also implemented, and we are under lockdown. And it's been, I think, 66 days we are under lockdown, and therefore this can be a subject to be talked as well. And similarly, it is indispensable. We have thought this is the most important measure to fight against the coronavirus, so it is indispensable as well. And similarly, it has brought a lot of impacts, especially in several fields, all fields, socioeconomic field, political field, and especially different classes of people have been much affected due to this lockdown. And lockdown is the outcome of pandemic coronavirus, of course. And there seems to be a bit incongruous as well, because people also seems to be incongruous. There are starvations and suicide, domestic violences, and so on. And some people are speaking for the lockdown. Some people are speaking against this as well. So there is some incongruity regarding this lockdown as well, I thought. So I have made this theme like this. And being under this theme, we have today 5 topics. And 5 topics are from 5 different fields. From media, from the perspective of media, Suresh Rai sir is speaking. From perspective of education, Mr. Ram Dahal sir speaking. And similarly, from perspective of feminism, Madam Asmita Bista is speaking. And similarly, from the perspective of politics, Sivan sir is speaking. And from the standpoint of literature, Ganeshwar Jha sir is speaking. And this is what the theme I just wanted to tell you, and I have simply said. And now I think I should not speak more. I should enter into the core session. So before entering into the talk session, to manage our talk quite better, I would like to request our emeritus professor, Dr. Govinda Bahadur Tumbang, the former and the first governor of province number 1 as well. I would like to request you to give a short best wishes speech on this virtual talk. Thank you. Sir, you have to unmute yourself. Or Mohan sir, please.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing. mute or unmute. Are you
Okay,
hearing
yes,
me?
we hear you, sir, now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Subhashji, our friend, my best friend, Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel-ji, my colleague, Gyaneshwar Jha-ji, our creative writer, Ramji Timil Sinha-ji, and other speakers, commentators, and distinguished participants. Today I am very happy because I am passing some hours with an association, in association with intellectual personalities here, which otherwise I would have passed the days by sleeping. That's why, I am very happy. Today, now, I think, coronavirus started from Wuhan and spread all over the world. And WHO declared it as pandemic. And doctors suggested compulsory lockdown, no option at all. And this lockdown has brought, so many things. It has impact. Lockdown was indispensable. That's why indispensabilities are being talked here in this, meeting. And this lockdown has impact upon various things. And it is incongruous also. It is going to be talked about. So I think that today, this talk program will be very, very interesting. Gyaneshwar Jha will certainly talk about, from Greek tragedies down to, the death of the author to death of the god, and finally he might come to the profuse creation of literary works due to the impact of this lockdown. He will certainly talk about these things. And Asmita Bishtam may talk about, Gargi in the Vedic era to Manu, just, who propounded that women would be under the control of father when a child and under husband when young and under son when old. And after that, she will talk about, I think, their franchise movement she will talk about, and she will talk about, Yog Maya, she will talk about my body, my right, and finally, Me Too movement. And I think she will talk about these things. You see, or many types of, and Jeevan Rai might talk about, the effect of, politics in individual choice, from ranging from the choice of individual people during the vote to now in discussion of whether political system is itself good or bad, whether communism is better or the established, democracy is better. These things. And this certainly will be a fruitful discussion. In the same way, media discussion will be from, from our old radio down to the telepresence, video conference type of, these all things will be discussed, and it will be very fruitful. I hope and I wish for the success of this talk program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Govinda Bahadur Tumbang sir. And well, now we enter into the core session of our virtual talk. Well, as the first speaker, I have posed Mr. Suresh Rai, and his title is Lockdown, uh, Global Media and Media Consumption Habits. And Mr. Suresh Rai is a media person or was media person for many years, about 10 years. He has just worked as the judge of different programs, and he is a very good host as well. And he's a writer as well, and he's very encouraging motivational speaker as well. So as the first speaker from junior to senior, I have just managed like this. So Mr. Suresh Rai is going to speak on this very topic. So I would like to request Mr. Suresh Rai to start your virtual talk, please.
Okay, I think I'm visible and audible both, right?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
All right, so am I visible too?
You are visible, sir, and very
All
nice
right.
background. Okay, sir.
Okay, now I'm going to just crack on with my talk, all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mr. Subhash Singh, for having me as one of the speakers at this incredible virtual talk sharing program. And my happiness knows no bounds here today, as I've been the first speaker here at this August event. Anyway, esteemed Emeritus Professor Dr. Govinda Tumbang sir, the former and the first governor of province number 1 of Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal, and Emeritus Professor Dr. Kela Paudel sir, my teacher, and similarly Associate Professor Gyaneshwar Jha sir, he is also my teacher, and other teachers of mine, senior scholars, fellow friends, dear junior ones, and all the intellectual attendees in the audience. Well, I'm afraid I can't really address all of you by your names, as we've got a pretty short time limit here. I got to speak for about 15 minutes only, I feel. So I can't afford to spend much time here. However, I just hold you all in high regard. Anyway, so without any further delay, let me just crack on with my talk. Well, as you probably know, this virtual discourse is based on the major theme, lockdown, indispensability, impacts, and incongruities. And well, I'm going to just do my bit in speaking on the topic, lockdown, global media, and media consumption habits, especially how we consume media, or the way that we just use media in our daily lives after, you know, the country just imposed lockdown measures to curb the coronavirus spread all over the world. Anyway, well, today I've already told you also about this, right? So I'm going to just focus on how the media outlets from across the globe are disseminating the up-to-the-minute, authentic and credible news updates and stories in the face of COVID-19 pandemic, and how this lockdown has affected the journalists, and how our media consumption habits have changed our restriction of the movement at this unprecedented crisis time. Well, first COVID-19 outbreak took place in Wuhan, a Chinese city. You already know that in December 2019. All right, and World Health Organization declared this coronavirus outbreak a pandemic on 11th March 2020. Well, in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, well, most of the countries where coronavirus cases were reported imposed a lockdown, or in other words, stay-at-home orders to contain the spread of the virus anyway. And coronavirus has prompted several countries to implement lockdown measures, from national quarantines to school closures, all right? And according to express.health.uk, over a third of the planet's population is expected to be on lockdown right at this moment. Anyway, well, lockdown is literally a massive blow to the journalists across the world, because when the restriction of the movement measures have been put in place, well, they have been, you know, up against a lot of hurdles while going out to different fields to report the news and cover the stories. All right, and you know what? Well, for the most part, the correspondents associated with various media outlets are faced with a good few trials and tribulations in terms of news coverage, to be precise. And well, even though they have the government press card, it's relatively difficult at this critical juncture, for sure. That's what I feel. Anyway, and despite the difficulties and all the hurdles, all the major and minor media outlets from across the globe haven't stopped disseminating the credible and authentic news to their audience. That's what's happening right at this moment. Anyway, now I want to just talk about the level of coronavirus news coverage by different media companies in different countries. Well, within January 2020, the first full month in which the outbreak was known, Time magazine recorded 41,000 English language articles containing the words coronavirus. And out of them, 19,000 made it to headlines. Anyway, and in the meantime, the Chinese government received severe criticism for censoring the extent of the outbreak, all right, because initially China did not really disclose the information regarding a new virus strain that was just really life-threatening, and that was just affecting a whole bunch of people there. So for this reason, China, faced a backlash from the people worldwide, specifically by the US. And you know what? Well, intriguingly, President Donald Trump of the United States of America literally lambasted the Chinese President Xi Jinping. All right, and while broadcasting the reports about the outbreak, the British tabloid newspapers such as The Sun and the Daily Mail used the language fear-inducing. I think you're just probably aware of this if you just really follow the news on a daily basis. That's what I feel. And in the USA, opinion hosts and guests on Fox News, I think Fox News channel, right? And that is a conservative media outlet. And opinion hosts and guests on that certain channel initially downplayed the disease outbreak, right? And the US President Donald Trump initially accused media outlets such as CNN, that is cable news network, of doing everything they can to install fear in people, all right? And during lockdown, many online news portals published the fake news and misinformation about coronavirus, actually, okay? And fake news has spread as fast as the virus itself. That's what I feel. And according to a research by the Oxford Internet Institute, the average piece of junk health news online has about the same distribution as a BBC article. I think there's some disturbance. So will you please mute the people who are just creating disturbance here?
Okay.
Okay, so please unmute yourself if you're not really talking, okay? Because I'm having some disturbance here while I'm talking. Anyway, and I'm just talking about disinformation and misinformation. There is some difference, actually. While disinformation intends to deceive people, misinformation is simply wrong or fake. So that's something you need to know about these two terms, disinformation and misinformation. And similarly, the problem with fake news is that it can lead to devastating consequences, to be precise. I think you heard an incident about Iran where over 700 people died after drinking toxic methanol, that is inflammable liquid alcohol, believing that it's going to just cure a coronavirus, right? So they just really ended up dying after consuming lethal alcohol in Iran. That's a very unfortunate incident anyway. And the other platforms like YouTube is a Google-owned platform, you already know, all right? So YouTube is just taking down anything that contradicts advice from the World Health Organization as far as the misinformation and disinformation are concerned anyway. So on social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter also, we can see a lot of such misleading pieces of information being shared. I think some of you might have shared some kind of fake information on on Facebook. I think, it has happened to me a few times, but then like I don't share a lot of stories on my profile on Facebook and Twitter. Anyway, and you know what? Well, I heard Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey saying that they will just take down any content that misleads the public. That's what I have heard. There was this kind of news just circulating in media a few weeks back, actually. And now I'm going to just talk about how the small media have been hard hit by lockdown measures that have been put in place all over the world. Well, small media outlets with relatively low income have been worst hit because since all the business entities or corporate houses are shut down due to lockdown all over the world, they can't really generate income. And when the business entities do not really have income, they can't really sponsor the programs on the radio and television, which are the traditional forms of media, all right? And however, state-funded media houses like BBC and CNN, Radio Nepal are not really affected much, due to this lockdown. Okay, that is the global media. I just really put forward my insight into that. Now I'm going to just switch over to media consumption habits during lockdown actually. Self-isolation or stay-at-home orders, or you can even say stay indoors orders imposed by the governments all over the world. Anyway, as the coronavirus outbreak continues to wreak havoc across the globe, most of us are in this pandemic-induced social isolation, actually, right? We're just really, in one way or other, isolating ourselves in our homes or in a certain limited space. Anyway, and in other words, a significant proportion of the world's population is currently under some form of lockdown in order to curtail the spread of the virus. Anyway, and Global Web Index has found that over 80% of consumers in the US and the UK consume more content since the outbreak, with broadcast TV and online videos. That means like, YouTube, TikTok, right? That is so popular, that is massively popular, with the use these days being the primary mediums across all the generations and genders. Anyway, so most of the people view the World Health Organization as the most trusted source of information for any COVID-19 related updates. Essentially, most of the people watch WHO's Facebook Live, I think, on coronavirus updates. That's what I do as well. So, I'm just telling you this. Anyway, radio broadcasts are massively popular now in some of the African nations. In the Central African Republic, radio broadcasts are a useful means to share public information, especially to the most remote populations. And UN volunteers assigned with the radio broadcast jobs are on the front line to raise awareness about the COVID-19 pandemic, to be precise. And these dedicated UN volunteers share current updates on coronavirus via radio shows and advocate for prevention and protection measures, right? And in Nepal also, the radio plays an instrumental role in disseminating information to the people mainly residing in remote areas where they don't have an easy access to internet and other modern advanced forms of media. Anyway, so on the whole, TV channels have seen their TRP, that is target rating point, surging, and radio stations have become massively popular for the news updates during lockdown. Now I'm going to talk about how media consumption habits have shifted, or there has been a paradigm shift in the way we consume media all over the world. Anyway, so you might see, or you might really find yourself moving to digital platforms as a source of information, research, productivity, and entertainment, right? Well, a social media consumption level has dramatically increased over these few months, actually, due to this lockdown triggered by coronavirus pandemic all over the world. Anyway, and according to influential market impact reports, users confined to their homes since early March are turning to social media to connect with their loved ones, actually. And there has been 29% increase in time spent on social media. That's what has happened. And YouTube and Instagram saw the biggest increase. That means 32% and 44% increase in time spent on them respectively. That's what has happened. And now we are just using this virtual discourse here on this Zoom app, and this has been hugely popular, of late, right? Well, and Facebook and Instagram Live are going incredibly popular these days, no doubt about that. And there is another kind of media these days. This is called audio podcasts and video podcasts. And audio podcasts are massively popular with the audience these days. And well, these days, like, you can see a lot of rock stars, pop stars, you can say global celebrities just live streaming on social media. And that means, like, say Facebook and Instagram, these social media platforms to entertain their fans across the planet. And these days, videos are not really confined to the television channels alone, all right? You can create video anywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, broadcast the amazing videos as well, especially, and these the users of these platforms, broadcast a lot of videos which are really incredibly amazing to watch as well. And even the radio stations are creating video content for their audience these days. That's really interesting. And now I'm gonna just wrap up in a little while, because I have very few things to say now, all right, because I think I'm just running out of time. Well, and however, nonetheless, newspaper readership has been seen sort of declining these days, because most of the people do not read newspapers due to digital platforms or internet and things like that. And according to an analysis of data from Chartbit, Google continues to be the most important traffic source for news media companies globally, and that accounts for 2 out of every 3 page views from the leading global technology companies. Anyway, now I'm going to just briefly talk about creativity level as well, right? So creativity level has surged exponentially on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok due to lockdown, and you might have just experienced this. Lots of people are taking to Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, showcasing their latent talents, and they have just unleashed their full potential, like singing or dancing or cooking or stuff like that, right? And now let's briefly talk about what kind of content or stuff just go viral on social networking sites in Nepal and beyond frontiers. Well, in Nepal, basically, if there are political news updates, basically if there are some controversial news updates and news coverage, and if there are news stories about policy corruption on the part of the rulers, they just really go viral, right? And lately, unfortunately, there has been a genocide in Brooklyn, and that has also gone viral, actually, all right? And if there are some sarcastic content or material, they also go viral on the social media these days. And recently, the death of George Floyd, that has also gone viral on mainstream media and social media both. Well, talking about him, on May 25th, 2020, George Floyd, an unarmed 46-year-old African-American man, died at the hands of a white police officer in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the United States of America. And he was pinned down to the road, and a police officer knelt on his neck for more than 8 minutes, and he unfortunately, took his last breath in custody, and he was charged with using counterfeit money to buy some cigarettes, actually. And you know what? Well, this brutal killing of this man sparked a massive nationwide civil unrest. That means protests and rallies across the USA and in other countries as well. And in some places in the US, you might have seen protests turning violent, and protesters vandalizing properties and setting police stations and houses ablaze, looting and all that jazz, all right? And protests are still dragging on in some cities. And now to wrap up, there has been a feud between Donald Trump and Twitter lately, all right? Well, certainly, a few weeks back, President Donald Trump of the US, tweeted a certain tweet on his Twitter account, and that just sparked some kind of controversy as well. And Twitter's decision to fact-check President Trump's tweet has angered Mr. Trump, and also Twitter has also accused him of glorifying violence when he tweeted, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts." And as this COVID-19 pandemic, has forced us into lockdown, both mainstream media and social media platforms have literally become the last resort for us, to be precise. And there has been a considerable change in the way we consume media during these challenging times, but we gotta just think positive, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna be able to get through this pandemic, and we're gonna be able to overcome all the tragedies that have befallen the humankind all over the world. And having said this, with these words, well, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Suresh Rai, for your wide range of information and research-based information. Of course, you have really talked with your global understanding and global research, and that's really great. And for the reflector, we have our Dr. Ramesh Kumar Ijam sir, and he's the associate professor of Sanskrit University, Nepal Sanskrit University, and he is also a writer and researcher. So I would like to request Dr. Ramesh Ijam to speak as the part of reflection of the speaker, Mr. Suresh Rai. It's over to you, Dr. Ijam, sir.
Thank you, sir. Subhasji, for conducting this very, very relevant talk program. And I would like to extend my greetings to the senior professors, Dr. Govinda Tumbahang, Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel, sir, Associate Professor Gyaneshwar Jha, sir, and also the very dear speakers, Mr. Suresh Rai, Mr. Ram Dahal, Ms. Asmita Bista, Mr. Jivan Kumar Rai, and the fellow reflectors, Dr. Ramji Himal Sinha, Mr. Kamal Raj Paudel, Mr. Usa Kesi, Mr. Yuvraj Subedi, and all dear friends, senior teachers, senior intellectuals. In this talk program, I'm very happy to have this opportunity to talk or reflect some of my views, especially on the Suresh sir's speech just he has delivered. And I think I shouldn't tell more about it because everyone we have already heard how insightfully he has given his ideas and shed light on different aspects of media consumption in this lockdown period. Especially, well, lockdown, according to him, what we have heard is lockdown has a massive impact on media and media consumption across the globe, including UK, China, USA, Iran, and many more countries. Coronavirus, now the media and the different kinds of news have the coverage in the world, including 19,000 media headlines of virus outbreak and how China faced backlash in media broadcasting or news circulation. And he has also talked about how media consumption habits during the COVID-19 lockdown has impacted in the general people, how media has also has been broadcasting fake news, junk news, and how they have been the misinformation and disinformation for the general people, for the public, how it has devastating it has been due to the misinformation of media. And he has also focused on the point that small medias are more impacted in comparison to the big media houses. And now, therefore, there are the advanced forms of influences, advanced forms of media have become massively popular. So it was a very insightful idea he said. And we know very well that in Nepal, a countrywide lockdown came into effect on 24th March, and it's scheduled to end on 14th June it, after extension for the fifth time. And it is still uncertain when the country will finally open. The first death occurred on 14th May, and a total of 11 deaths and 2,912 cases have been confirmed as of 5th June, that is yesterday. 333 of them have become confirmed recovered. The effect of the pandemic is felt in every sector that we know and has disrupted all forms of industry, let alone the media sector. The effects of COVID-19 are felt in operations in media. The advertising revenues have declined, and larger print media outlets have reduced the number of pages. In the same way, the print medias have reduced their publications. We know that in Nepal, in the context of Nepal, the trend of print media of newspapers and magazines has gone online. Himal Magazine, Kantipur, and other many news publications suspended their print edition, but the Kantipur continued its print edition from April 4 after discontinuing for a week. Regarding to media access and consumption habits at the time of lockdown due to the COVID-19 crisis, we see that there is the increased media time, high consumption on TV programming and online activity. As Suresh sir said, there are increased household expenditure also, which have been covering by the medias as well, and increased time for family bonding, increased levels of anxieties, increased spend on food, healthcare, and we have the less saving. Media is aware with stories of job losses resulting in budgetary constraints at the family level, reduced purchase power. And but the good news is that because of this, we have been having more and more creative things, such as creative writing. We have been doing the writing on journals. Many creative writers are doing creative works um, writing poems, stories, novels. They have been doing various kinds of documentations and many more. And as Suresh sir also highlighted very well that there is an increase of creativity level by use of YouTube videos and TikTok. Media in now, we know that certainly media is shifted. There is a massive shift on online uses. Most of the people are using online platforms. There is a print media, mobility of print media is decreasing. That's fine, but electronic and digital media is the key point to focus to most media consumers. So obviously, online media engagement is increasing. People have become more open to video content like YouTube videos, online shopping, e-learning, and more. Social media apps, online games, streaming content, and other digital media content together have managed to take away the maximum share for the time users are spending in lockdown period. E-commerce has become the new normal now. So we will see a huge shift in the buying saying sector after the world has recovered from COVID-19. There will be continue. People want to be hanging out online with their friends and loved ones from the comfort of their home using tools of this modern technology. For example, we see that the Netflix in UK has replaced most of other traditional TV like movies, going to the movies hall, and online video conferencing like webinars like Zoom, MS Teams, WebEx, Cisco have also managed to become the primary video call service used by the netizens for work, meetings, e-classes now, as well as leisure purposes. Recently, WhatsApp's brought the update of adding up to 8 people on a video call. Now, therefore, YouTube has become the best navigator for, and Google as well, for trying out new media consumption habits. The corona outbreak has changed entertainment habits too. Watching, for example, watching more news coverage is possible, watching more short films, spending more time socializing as a family, spending more time on social messaging. Now our hobbies have also been now resurrected, and we are now doing our hobbies that could not have time in before coronavirus. Now the best thing is cooking. Cooking is the new international hobby now. It has been, and video games, mobile gaming engagement is set to reach record levels now. Global digital acceptance and adoptions have been grown. So all of us know that people in our lives who were persistent to social media and technology before COVID-19 had changed this legacy thought process for many and brought them on board with the idea of trying out these things for good. Therefore, we see a large number of boomers joining social media or simply indulging with the tools of technology around them. So in conclusion, what I want to tell is, as Suresh has said, the digital environment has changed, and so have people's digital media consumption habits. And patterns have become a new normal. Various brands are trying to evolve and react normal to here with the massive in consumer behavior that possibly impact various types of brands, influencers, and businesses in the days to come too. So in our country, Nepal has seen an explosive growth in such online materials like YouTube use up from virtually zero in 2008 to 34% last year, and then almost doubling to 60% as of now. So the coronavirus COVID-19 scare has prompted a worldwide trend in working from home. now we see different kinds of uh, hashtags like stay home, self quarantine, and working from home are among the most trending hashtags on Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, and many more. So our Suresh sir is very right to say that now lockdown has a massive impact on media and media consumption habits across the globe. Thank you for listening my reflection. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramesh Kumar Limbu, for your minor observation over the speech Mr. Suresh Rai delivered, and for some more facts you added. That's really great. And now is the turn to move on to the second speaker. And our second speaker is Mr. Randhal. And Mr. Randhal is the assistant lecturer at Kosi St. James College, Italy. And he's the joint secretary of Nelta Morong as well. And he is the vice chair of SETRAP Nepal. He is also article writer, presenter, and so on. And well, now I would like to request Randhal sir to start your discourse. And Mr. Randhal sir is speaking on this lockdown from the perspective of education, or his topic is lockdown impacts on higher education and students' well-being. So I request you, Mr. Randhal sir, to start your talk, and it's over to you, Mr. Randhal sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Subhashji, for such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much. First, my special respect and acknowledgement goes to Dr. Kedar Prasad Paurel, my guru. Equal respect goes to Professor Dr. Govinda Tumahang. He was also my guru when I was in IA or in 2050 around, I think. I still vividly remember his lively classes. Dr. Ramjit Timal Sinha, Dr. Ram Naran Kannangwa, speakers, Associate Professor Ganeshwar Jha, Mr. Suresh Rai, Madam Asmita Bishta, Mr. Jiban Kumar Rai, and all valued participants present here. Without much delay, I would like to go ahead because there is time restriction, we know. And in such a scholarly gathering where professors, PhDs, and would-be PhDs are presenting, I don't know how I fit into the discourses. But as I have taken a teacher's perspective to look into the dynamics of challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic and its, the condition after that, aftermath, I hope I won't discourage the participants. I will try my level best. My talk is built around the guidelines recently released by UNESCO and UNICEF, and my personal experience as a teacher for more than 20 years. I will mainly focus on the pandemic impacts on higher education, specifically drawing on the issues of student well-being. So to begin with, I would like to have a brief look at present scenario. And we know, much familiar with, that the majority part of the world is in lockdown and people are forced to stay home. And everything except the most essential services are suspended. A small country like ours cannot remain aloof from what is happening around the world, in the world. So obviously, schools and colleges from preliminary level to the higher level, even university level, have been in closures. The data says that over 150 crore students are severely impacted by closure across the world amid the COVID-19 outbreak now. As I told you that I am taking some references from the report of UNICEF, UNESCO, recently published. Stefani Giannini, UNESCO's Assistant Director General for Education, says Out of the total population of students enroll in education globally across the world, it is estimated that over 89%, nearly 90% are currently out of school because of COVID-19 outbreak in the world, and this represents 154 crore students enroll in school or university, including nearly 70 crore girls. Girls in focus because the girls are the privileged class, non-privileged class, and they have been given the special, privilege from the laws and the various agreements UNESCO and UNICEF have amended and passed. Over 11 crore of these girls are living in the world's least developed countries, where getting an education is already a struggle for them. We know that. And in Nepal, I'm talking about the present scenario. And in Nepal, the total number of students is approximately 63 lakh, out of which 40 lakhs are in primary level and 21 lakhs in secondary level, and nearly 2 lakh in post-secondary and university level. And the examinations for upgrading the classes have been halted. We know that, and various entrance and pre-admissions tests have been cancelled, and uncertainty looms everywhere. We know that indefinite closure of schools and colleges has caused educational, psychosocial, and economic impacts on the students. Students, because my focus of study is students. That's why, though it has caused a wider range of effect in many other sectors. So closure of educational institution is problematic for various other reasons. Firstly, the reduction in instructional time impacts learning achievement. When schools close, educational performances suffer. Universities and colleges close, and their performance suffer. And disrupting schooling also lead to other difficulties, including inconvenience to families and decreased economic productivity also, as parents struggle to balance work obligation with child care, family care. And the fact is that many of them have lost their job. Many of them are in a part-time job holder, and many of them have become jobless due to these various reasons. The tensions are arising. As my focus of discourse is on the impact, I would like to move around the same. School, college, and university closures has resulted students, teachers, and parents into the very serious adverse situation in many aspects. But my major concern of the talk today is students' well-being connected to the existing condition due to the closure of schools, colleges, and universities. When I use the word well-being here, I mean to say, I use it to mean physical, psychological, and social well-being. Here, physical well-being means students' physical health. To elaborate it, to say that during the academic institution closures, the students are locked inside home, and they are deprived of physical activities like sports. They cannot go outside. They are deprived of outdoor activities, movements, and regular mobilities. So, and obviously, such imposing situation on students has forced to the students inactivity that result in the various physical health problems on them. This is one fact. And next one is psychological. Means they are worried about their studies, yes, classrooms, and their inability to join online classes also. They worry about the divide for attending online classes, as many of them belong to deprived social class. And yes, due to the loss of jobs and loss of their parents, income of their parents, they feel kind of pressure. They worry about their future, and also they have some kind of anxiety due to the virus spread and death caused by it across the globe. And and they read the news, and they come to know about it through the different medias. And shutting down of the schools and colleges due to the COVID-19 pandemic comes with a warning of potential for increased dropout rates, especially for girls, which will disproportionately affect adolescent girls. Further increases gender gaps in education, and leads to increased risks of sexual exploitation. It is happening now, and will happen in the days to come also. Early pregnancy and or early and forced marriage too. So let me talk a bit metaphorically now how I connect students' social being here. Fish survives. This is my perspective. How what does social well-being mean? Fish survive in water, we know, and birds, animals survive in the wilderness, and students survive in the premises of schools, colleges, and universities. I don't advocate for the old, but face-to-face real physical classroom settings is where students grow, where they feel comfortable, or where they feel the real environment. For students, a classroom or school or a university is a small miniature society where they learn, they mingle together with their friends, what it means to be social. But because of pandemic, this fundamental location is in crisis, is suspended, we know, and their entire learning is thrown into virtual setting. So my worry is what happens if this continues. So that is why my modest request is to request to the teachers is let us not generalize the issues. Let us see our teaching from the angle of perspective of students coming from different socio-economic backgrounds, socio-strata, and heterogeneous backgrounds, etc. I don't have enough space and time to elaborate on these all things, what we can do, but I mean, we can do many things for coping the psychological problem, for handling the social and other problems. But I'm not going in detail with them these all things, and because of time constraint. And but I would like to request you all to take these three aspects of students' well-being into consideration during the teaching in this difficult time of lockdown. Yes, this lockdown corona pandemic has caused some shift in the teaching model and methodology. We know our uh, I mean, pre-speakers have already highlighted about this one. I think Suresh sir and a reflection who did the reflection, Ramesh Kumar sir, they have already highlighted on this issue. The technology, use of the technology, shifting on to the remote learning, shifting on to the online teaching learning. I mean, they have been in vast use. Yes, Google, Moodle, Coursera, and many other open resource, internet resources are available, and then they are in very massive use now. These are the things, but I'm not in detail going to talk about these all things. My focus was how students are socially and psychologically affected. Then these are the things. Thank you very much, Subhash sir. It is very first attempt of mine. I mean, my ideas may not be very much coherent as they have to be. I tried my level best. Sorry for that. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Randhal sir. Your very fluent speech and really fact-based information and real reflection of the situation of the students in the field of education and so on. That's really great and great contribution to many of us and the participants, I think. And for this, thank you very much once again. And well, now for the reflection of Mr. Ram Dahal sir, we have our lecturer Kamal Raj Dahal sir, and he is working as the head of Department of English in Janta Multiple Campus, and he is also the life member of ZROC, NELTA, and so on. He is article writer and presenter as well. So I would like to request Kamal Raj Dahal sir to reflect the speaker, Mr. Ram Dahal's talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Subhash sir, for providing me the floor of sharing my ideas and providing some reflections on my colleagues Ramdal sir's ideas or his and his discourse. And I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to professors Govinda sir and Kedar sir, doctors Ramdi sir, Ganesh sir, and so on, and senior teachers, my colleagues, friends. Okay, Ram sir has presented much a theme within the short period of time. He presented actually facts along with his opinions, which are very much similar to mine as well. focusing on impact of this lockdown on the higher education, mostly the higher education students and their well-being. Actually, we are worried, and most of us are teaching in a school level and higher education level as well. Here, the participants as well, I see. Actually, students are suffering much when the colleges or the schools close. Then they are worried. First of all, there is the anxiety, mostly rather than physical, in my view. Psychological problem students may suffer. Now, most of the students in the context of Nepal, which Ram sir has already highlighted, many exams were held. Then because of that, they are worried when to start the exam, when they have to attend the exam, and how much time for preparation. Actually, they were prepared well for attending the exam, but suddenly the the program were postponed. So that creates a kind of worriness, anxiety on them. That part is also highlighted, which I praise and I accepted. Similarly, and some more ideas I want to say, adding with Ramsar's ideas. Actually, the condition of lockdown has created some kind of digital gaps as well. Now we are attending here, maybe the teachers, students who are in town areas, they have the accessibility of the media, variety of medias, and some of them are running, many of them are running classes. The students are also attending classes as well. They are uplifting their educational uh, condition. They are learning many things through media personally or with the help of the instructors. They are at least in connection with the teachers or the institutions. But the students, I worry is must to the students who are in remote area. We say remote learning, but the students in a place context in remote area actually has the deficiency of that. So it is creating much gap with them. And we have to, as the scholars, intellectual groups, we have to let's say raise our voice and encourage to the governments. Different layers of governments are there. Maybe we have to run the campaign to provide the access of at least the internet, uh, even remote areas. Variety of access is in the town areas, but in village area and mostly hilly side village areas are very far from the cannot contact with the students easily. And the students there may be physically healthy, but they are worried much. Their friends are learning, studying together, mostly in college level students. Their friends are studying who are in town areas, and they worry. They may not have got even books with them because lockdown was announced abruptly without, let's say, long information. So there is some deficiency with them, and that should be fulfilled. And we may urge the governments to fulfill, to provide the access. At least one alternative education mode should be highlighted. That lesson we may have learned, and I acknowledge Ramdal sir for the idea which I have brought as well from him. And I would like to stop my reflection. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kamal Raj Dahalsa, for your beautiful reflection and your additional points related to the problems students are facing in different places. That's really great. And now I would like to move on to the third speaker of our virtual talk sharing program. And the third speaker is my teacher, is my lecturer in my master's as well. And she is Asmita Bista. And she is working or teaching at Mahindra Multiple Campus, Dharan. And she is pursuing her PhD in English. And she has presented a lot of papers and published them as the journal articles as well. Now I would like to request lecturer Asmita Bista madam to start your talk. Thank you. One sir, please unmute her. She has not. Oh. Or madam, please unmute yourself. We are not hearing you. Oh, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you, madam, now.
Okay, but I cannot see me on the screen.
I think you see.
We can see you, don't worry.
We see
You can see? Okay, fine. Because it's good for me because I want to see myself on the screen. I feel a bit shy.
Okay. If you don't want, then I.
No. Okay. It's okay. Whether I'm on the screen or not, it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, host and co-host. Good afternoon again. Warm greetings to you all. And as it is a talk program, I don't want to address. So because I want to make it a little bit different. I don't know, because this is just an experiment. You know that this is the first slide. And yes, but I tried my best to make it as a talk, not as a, you see, presenting the paper. It's very different than presenting the paper and other things. Joy overwhelms me now as I'm sharing screen with the dignitaries and illuminators. Professor Dr. Govinda Subba, former governor of province number 1, Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel, former HOD of MMC Dharan, Associate Professor Ganeshwar Jha, HOD of MMC Dharan, my friends, my colleagues, and my students. You see, I'm very much happy because I got chance to share my experiences. And I know that I'm going to disappoint our professor, Dr. Govinda Subba, my respected sir. Why I'm saying this? Because he was expecting me to talk as a feminist, but I'm not going to do that. I think that I'm not, you see, I'm not an expert in that very topic, because my study is gender study, you know. And the next thing is, as a woman, I am expecting by the people to talk about all those feminism theories and so on. But no, today I'm not, you see, even uttering a single word that is related to feminism. I'm not talking about the theory. I'm not talking about the theorist. The next thing is the word that very lockdown, because we need to be concentrated on that very word lockdown. And I was not so much interested to, you see, talk, even utter this very word lockdown, because I found this very word very boring, very irritating and intimidating. But it is inevitable as well. Why? Because of, thanks goes to, you see, that very COVID-19, that very pandemic, which infected, you see, millions of people, and it gulped up hundreds and thousands of people. That's why government started lockdown, because government wanted to protect us, or who knows, God knows that the politicians wanted to protect them. I should not, I think, enter in that very matter. The next thing is we ourselves, you see, we love our life so much, I realized that that is why we shut up ourselves inside home. And this very course, I shared it course, lockdown is course, just like a course. Though we started it like blessing, you see, but I found it just like course. It began. And what happened after that? Slowly and gradually, 90 countries are in lockdown now. In the same way, we see 4 billion people are now shut down in their home because of this very lockdown. It has paralyzed our actions. And I found that sometimes I wonder, you see, while pondering on this very topic, I found that there is no difference between animals and human, except for the fact that we cannot roam here and there. But you see, we scold animals, we scold dogs, and what is happening to us? Because here I see that why I'm talking these all things, because I see that this very lockdown reveals the real side, the real face of humanity. And I, you see, I even don't like to say, I even don't think that, and the question comes in my mind that, are we still human? Because we came to know that during this very lockdown, it leads, you see, humanity into violence, ruthlessness, corruption. We have been watching, listening the news, and we are getting these all things in front of us. And I felt that it is challenging humanity. The next thing is, I realized that COVID fails the system of our body, and lockdown, the systems of education, you see, economic system and whatnot. So COVID leads us to death. In the same way, it seems that lockdown also leads us to death. It's a common problem. But still, why? You may be thinking that why this very woman? Because it's a common problem. All of us are affected by it. Then why this very woman in front of us is just going to talk about the condition of female? Because I need that as a woman, I need to concentrate my talk at least over here, because I could not do anything. Maybe I could, but I did not. I don't know why. Maybe there are so many regions. We don't have time to talk about all those matters over here. But I'm just, you see, imparting my experiences, what I have gone through during these 3 months, and what is the condition of women. And then I find out that I will not say, I admit that there are so many women whose condition has become quite nice during this lockdown time, because Suresh Rai already, you see, shared his experience, shared his knowledge. He imparted the knowledge about the condition of so many people, that how they are posting their, you see, post in Facebook, how they are enjoying that very TikTok and so on. And women are also, there are so many women, they have been doing the same. In the same way, there are some women who are exploring, you see, their skill, like their cooking skill, and they are posting delicious food, tempting us on Facebook walls. In the same way, I, you see, collected some of the experiences of working women. It may not match with others because I don't want to generalize it, but I came to know that they are enjoying. My sister herself is enjoying this very lockdown period because she should not go, she could not go to office, and she's enjoying this very period as holiday. In the same way, there are so many women who are, you see, or who have been, you can say, they are just signing themselves in webinar. I'm saying webinar, right? I don't know. I'm included in that. Okay, and yes, I'm also privileged because I am in my cozy room and using this very computer, expressing myself. So this is one side, you see, of face we see of women in this very lockdown period. And what about others? Because this is just the one side. And when we see another side, then we came to know that it's really, really heart-rendering. Because those women who have been already were in the women who are in already the problem, their condition has turned worse because of this. The data presented by media shows that domestic, sexual, or gender-based violence increased during crisis and disaster. And it increased, okay? It has increased during lockdown period. Previous month, 243 million women and girls aged 15 to 49 across the world have been subjected to sexual or physical violence by intimate partners. It is obvious that with lockdown, this number is likely to increase. There is no doubt. Likewise, less than 40% of women who experience violence seeking help to any sort of reporting crime. Less than 10% of those women seeking help to the police. Now you can imagine you can imagine their condition, because the current circumstances of lockdown make reporting even harder. And why? Why it makes the reporting harder? Because they do not have access to phones. They do not have access to helplines. Lockdown has separated them from the people, from the resources. And what is the result? The result is the fuel. It fuels the impunity for perpetrators. So we can see that in what way they are exposed to violence, how our sisters, our daughters, even our mothers are vulnerable, how they are exposed to violence. So that is the condition of women. And we see that under the condition of quarantine or stay at home measures, women who live with violent and abusive men, I repeat it, women who live with, okay, who have been living with abusive men are exposed to considerably greater danger. And we have so many examples of it, right? You might have remember all those incidents happening around us. First of all, I do remember, you see, that very incident that happened in India. 25 years old woman who was coronavirus infected. She was admitted to the hospital. She was in isolation ward, and what happened to her? She was raped by health worker, and after some days she died. This is the example. You don't need to go far. Here, I think a few days ago, the 13-year-old woman girl in Dharan was raped by her father. In the same way, in province number 2. Are you listening to me?
Yes, at least we are hearing you.
Yeah, and in province number 2, I came to know that there was a brother who hit his own sister with a stone or something else. I don't know, when he was angry, because we know when people became angry, and in this very time period, they are free and they are eating a lot, and they are accumulating their power, and they are overpowering it to the weak member of the family. Maybe that might be the reason, and that very guy hit her to death. And family tried to, hide that very incident. That is what happening to women during this very lockdown period. In the same way, you must have heard about that very case of Bilbari. The woman of, I think maybe she's above 60, she was also killed by her murdered by her son. So these sort of things are happening to the women. And when you see, I realized, I felt, I heard these sort of things, then I that violence and abuse on these women, when I see violence and abuse in women, we see that humanity has buried unimaginable, unbelievable, and unfathomable death. I don't know how to rescue our sisters and daughters. Not only that, women are affected by reproductive health. You see, women's reproductive health is also, that has been also affected by lockdown. Because the services which are related to prenatal, I think you know the term prenatal and postnatal health have become unapproachable for women. So what is the result? Pregnant women cannot go to the hospital. They cannot go to the hospital because of this very lockdown. Because of this very lockdown, and because of, you see, the lack of public vehicle, they cannot go to the hospital. Ambulance driver, we have heard about ambulance drivers. They, you see, denied to take them to the hospital. On the other hand, these women cannot afford the expenses. That is why they're giving birth at home to their child. They are delivering child at home and they are risking their life. Not only that, what is the condition of, have we ever, you see, thought about the condition of women newly, you see, the mother of newly borns? What's their condition? I think 15 days ago, I heard the news about a woman in Viratnagar. She fainted because she did not have anything to eat. In the same way, you see, I heard once in the program that was aired by Avenues Television, there was a woman, she was, you see, asking help from that very guy named Susil Pandey, and she was telling that she wanted a foster parents for her 2-month-old baby girl. See, that is the condition. And what is the reason? Again, lockdown. Because she and her husband were jobless. They did not have enough food to eat. They did not have money. So they could not afford, you see, good health to that very child. They could not afford, they you see, give up. So this sort of condition has created due to lockdown. And the next thing is women are not war, because the condition is still the same, economically hit hard by this. How? Because we know that globally, the position of women in labor market is less secure. They do not have permanent job, and most of them are in service job. So service job, just like, you see, they work in beauty parlors, massage centers. In the same way, there are so many women who are housemaid. Even I see that around me, around in my surrounding, the housemaid stopped. You see, they were stopped by their masters to enter to the house. That's why they became jobless. And what is the result when they became jobless? Then they become penniless. And again, very dangerous thing happened to, you see, dangerous thing happened to them. That is their problem of feeding their children. In the same way, we know that another very dangerous situation of our country, most of the men, you see, most of the men are in foreign country because they went there as a migrant worker. Due to this very lockdown, they could not send money to their family, and women are running their family. They are the head of the family now, and the condition has become worse now. We have just heard about that very Radha Sada, or I forgot the surname. There was another woman in Saptari. Her two sons, you see, they are in India. Her husband was not also, you see, they were, all of the male members were not able to send money to them. And on the other hand, they also were jobless, and all of them are, you see, starved. They have been that very state. So these are the conditions. Not only that, I want to, you see, address or just, you see, throw light on another big problem. That is the problem of girl student. You see, this girl student, there is the possibility, which Ramdas sir already stated, there is a possibility of dropout of girls' child. The reason is they may, you see, befall in forced marriages. Likewise, we know that when you, I don't want to blame, but generally male members of the family, you see, cannot see female free. So they are overloaded with housework. They have to look after to their siblings. What is the result? They don't have time for study. And when they don't get time for study, they lose interest on it. And again, it increases the possibility of dropout from the school. When most of the women girl child drop out from the school, then what will be their future? I fear. So what should we do? Should we only stay in this very condition, or we should do something to them? So can we remain silent? Can we, the question raised, okay, can they remain silent? Should they think that, no, we're doing our job because I'm giving online classes, I'm taking part in seminars, I'm writing, you see, okay, papers. Is it enough? The question, big question, okay, comes in front of us. And it happens due to this very lockdown. The next thing is, I think that now we have to stop violence. And though we cannot, okay, take a big action for that, at least you can observe your surrounding. And if women are in problem, then we can, okay, we can offer them some help. Because we cannot stay as bystander. We should be their friend in real sense. We know that I want to repeat here the saying of King Martin Luther King. In the end, what hurt the most is not the words of our enemy, but the silence of our friends. So we need to be their friend in real sense. We should do what we can do. Otherwise, we'll just say that, yeah, we are your friend, we are your well-wisher, we always think about you women, your condition, but we'll be just the bystander and we'll hurt them. That's why this very talk program, I think that it's a platform which make us think about our sisters who are in problem, make us think about our daughters who are being raped by their own father. We should think about our, again, sisters who are hitting, okay, and hitting to death by their brothers. And so in this way, I think I have finished. I don't have more to say. I was not so much well prepared. This is just a practice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Asmita Bista. It was really wonderful, Madam. Very close study of especially condition of female during this lockdown, and being based on the examples of our country and surrounding. That's really effective, and that's what we need to talk about. And thank you so much for once again. And now for reflection of Madam's talk, Miss Usakeshi, Madam Usakeshi is ready, and she's the assistant lecturer at Kosturi College, and she is the executive member of CETROP as well. She has written some articles, presented, and has published as well. And she is as the reflector presenting her reflection, her views. Please, it's over to you, Usakeshi. Thank you.
Thank you, Subhas sir.
Could you speak a bit louder? Yeah. Okay.
Am I audible now?
Okay.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Aren't
we
you hearing?
hear. Uh, yes, we hear. Please, madam, go on.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Dr. Govinda Tungbahang sir, and my many teachers, MA teachers are here, my gurus and Guru Amas too, Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel sir, Dr. Ramji Timarsina sir, uh, Asmita ma'am, Jivan sir, my teachers, my teachers, and speakers, Mr. Suresh Rai sir, Ram Dahal sir. In the same way, reflectors, Kamal Dahal sir, Yuvraj Subedi sir, and all the valued participants here. Before I start my reflection, I would like to congratulate ma'am for such a wonderful talk and speech, and the ideas she collected are very wonderful, ma'am. Very nicely addressed to most of the things to the woman of the world. As a reflector, I don't have much to say because men have said many things here. In this lockdown period, we know all the family members are stuck inside the house. And in this period lockdown, many are using the time for different purposes, especially the lone woman who can speak for their rights, as ma'am also said already, and with who are financially good, economically well. Those women, they are able to utilize their time inside the home for different purposes, like preparing different dishes for the children and other members, and several things from the different social medias. And in this way, they are helping themselves, empowering themselves, learning something from themselves. This is one a very proper time for them, and they are able to utilize. But if we look at the different data that are published by the different medias, then the data really that makes us sad. This is not my hatred towards the male, because male people, yes, when they are helping the woman in different fields, when the male partner is cooperative and helpful, yes, women are able to carry up their career. They do not have to leave it on the way. But some data which I have collected here, that is a very saddening one. And ma'am has well presented here her talk. I found her talk in 2 steps. She said here, in first she went for the present condition of the woman. One good condition is also there. They are able to utilize another, the saddening part. And she also went for the solution measures, some solution measures, what can be done to improve this situation. Okay. Like I already told, we all are stuck inside the home, and female are busy even inside the homes. They have to spend more time in the kitchens. They have to go for homeschooling the children, because some children are having online classes. Those who are not having, for them also, women are more careful than the males. Than the fathers. Mothers are more careful and have to spend time upon them. And if there are elderly people in the house, then again more time is to be provided to them. And if the woman is working in this lockdown period also. I mean, working using these types of medias. Some are doing from the home also. If they are doing in this way, then there is more stress to those women. And yes, in this way, there is more stress, more anxiety to this woman who have to spend long hours in the kitchens and other to provide many things to other people in the house and to take out time for them also. And in the same way, if you look at the data of different countries, then yes, overall across the world, we can find the ratio of domestic violence has already risen up. If we take the example of developed country, USA also, then we can find their mental health gender gap. Mental health gender gap has been increased by 66% in America. If we go even for our neighboring country, India, if we look at the data of from January to March, if we look at the data is 18.57% to 22.21% for the domestic violence. But if you look at the data of these 2 months, lockdown period months, okay, May and April, if you look at the data, then you can find 47.2% domestic violence has been increased in this way. Indian media, they said it has been increased by twice it has increased, but it is more than twice. Now let's come to our country. If we come in our country also 30 women have already died due to pregnancy and delivery related cases. 30 women are already expired because the public vehicles are in halt. And by any means, if they reach at the hospital, then hospitals deny to admit the patients without COVID-19 test report. And during all these processes, the condition worsens already, and the women are bound to die. And in this way, our women are dying due to this lockdown. And if we look at the developing other countries, this condition is like this, like in our country. And it is also found that females are not secure in their home, even in their neighborhood. Like ma'am already gave the example of our country, India. I want to give another example from India, where one girl was raped, 18-year girl was raped by her one father. And in Nigeria, the student was raped in the church or religious site in this period. So in this way, there is the question of security. I don't want to go for so many things are there which are related to domestic violence. Another data about UNFPA is there. It is saying that domestic violence has risen by 30% across the world. Okay? And it is also saying that 44 million women are deprived to use contraceptives in this 3 months period of lockdown, because all the health services, they are not giving health services, and other NGOs and INGOs which were working for the to control child marriage, for the health of the mother, child, and all the NGOs and INGOs, they are not able to work due to risks of the virus. This definitely, already the INGO had said, this will definitely lead to 1 million unintended pregnancy. So what is going to be the result? We can imagine from here. And again, the pregnant woman, they are not able to come out of the house for the fresh air. They are not able to come out in the morning walk, evening walk. they are restricted inside the house. Another thing, another point is that they are not able to get nutritious diet. When they are not able to get nutritious diet, and again, when there is abusive partner, we can imagine the situation there. In France, almost all the female, it is the data is there, 30% violence has been raised there. Domestic violence only has been raised. France already, it has a lot of domestic violence. It has been raised by 30%. And this, in the developed countries also, this is the condition. Now we can imagine about the condition of the female in undeveloped countries and developing countries. Now, quickly, I'd like to switch on the another section. That means no one is doing anything. No one is doing anything to stop this violence or to control the violence. No, some steps have been made. Like USA, UK, Australia, these countries, they have made some hotlines to help the victims. They have also given the number for domestic violence, for emergency help. India also has made 50 helplines for the domestic victims. In the same way, France is using pharmacies, supermarkets to collect the cases of domestic violence. And in Nepal also, one helpline, national helpline is there, that 1149, where the victims can make a call for if they are being victimized. In this way, there are some steps done, but these are not enough, because if we look at the data of Nepal in this 1 month after the lockdown, within 1 month, there were 521 calls. Okay, among them 119 calls were for the domestic violence. But the problem is rising, I mean, this rate is rising, and so these are not enough. So what can be done? What can be the solution measures? Ma'am has already told about some of the very beautiful solution measures, and I only want to add some of them there. From the national level, from the regional level, from the local level, all the governments, they should be aware and they should conduct the programs of counseling using different medias like FMs, like our education minister, he said that children can be taught by using different, this media should be utilized for counseling not only the victims, the whole family, all the males. This education should be spread, and people should be cultured. People in their home, like ma'am was telling that time, there should not be discrimination between the son and daughter from the house, so that the son can be cultured to be good to the female afterwards. These types of culture, if launched, then it can do something to solve the problem. Okay, I think I am out of time.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Usakeshi, my colleague. And well, you have reflected very beautifully and added some more additional points without considering the time limitation. I think this is the area you are much interested in too. That's great. Okay, well, now it's time to move on to the more important speakers of our virtual talk. And now I would like to move on to the fourth speaker, and he's lecturer Jiban Kumar Rai, and he is working or teaching at the multiple campus Dharan, and he is involved in many social and intellectual circles. He is also carrying on his PhD level of study, and well, I would like to request lecturer Jiban Kumar Rai sir, he is also my teacher, to start your talk. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Subhas Devanji. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing you, sir.
Oh, yes. Respected, I would like to extend my respect to Professor Dr. Govinda Mahang, Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel, and similarly, my respected Guru, Ganesh Jha, all the then distinguished participants. I was given, Tayung phoned me last time and I was given one topic. And when he gave me one topic, then my mind was completely void. What to talk about this political perspective about lockdown and these impacts of lockdown, incongruities and something, all those things. Then I have made some ideas to discuss here in this talk program. From this political perspective, how can we see this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown? I'm not going to talk about the political system and the lockdown. Which political system could successfully control this pandemic situation or COVID-19, and which political system could not success? I'm not going about that part. Maybe there may be different perspective. Public-centered democratic system or state-centered communist system. They have their own systems, and some people say here democratic systems failure to control the pandemic and communist system succeed to control this pandemic situation. But I'm not talking about those things. There may be many factors, but I'm talking about this political perspective about the political power. In both systems, there are the politicians and they are seeking power. And whether the democratic system or the communist system, society or free society, in both societies, both systems, there are the politicians, power seekers. Politics is a seeking of power. And from which power perspective this lockdown has been implemented and for whom this lockdown is implemented, for which groups favors this lockdown and which groups are in danger, are in crisis because of this very lockdown. I'm focusing my talk from this perspective. I think whether the democratic system or the communist system, politicians or leaders are seeking the power and they want to protect themselves. In this context, whether we talk about all the countries of the world or talking about Nepal, politicians or the government, the state, has implemented this lockdown to protect themselves, not to protect the people, particularly the marginalized people. They want to be protected. They want to be safe. And this lockdown is in the favor of those ruling groups as well as those elites who have easy access to the state power as well as the mechanism of the state. But those people who do not have access to the political or access to the state power or mechanism of the state power, they are in the crisis. The structure or pattern or modality of the lockdown does not support, is not in the favor of the marginalized groups, particularly daily wages workers and the migrants workers. I am focusing on that point. And this very lockdown, as earlier speakers also uh, stated something about it. Some people are doing this and that things. Some people are enjoying, some people are doing creative works. And those people are doing all those things who have access to the power, who have social security, who have employment security, and who have, you see, all the amenities. They are doing all those things. But another part, those daily wages workers, migrant workers, what about them? Then our Prime Minister stated, I remember now, life or freedom, which one is important? Definitely, life is important in this context. But in the context of these daily wages workers and migrant workers, both things, life as well as freedom, they have lost both things. But the ruling groups or those people who have access to the mechanism of the state power, they have enjoying both things, life as well as the freedom. They have all the amenities, they have social securities, they have sufficient, you see, the amenities, and they are enjoying. They are doing creative works. They are learning different skills. They are enjoying virtual classes and many things they are doing. And what about the freedom? They are moving. There is no restriction. One example, I want to give one example of Nepal. Last time we all know about our two MPs, sitting MPs, former IGP, they moved to far distance in one case. That is just to fulfill their political interest, not other than that. They are enjoying freedom. In the same time, daily wages people, working class people, they were restricted, they were not allowed to go out, and ultimately they broke the law and order, and they started making their long journey on foot, miles on foot, facing hunger, sufferings, miseries, thirst, so many problems. And this life, they are protected from the coronavirus, contamination of the coronavirus. And they are enjoying all those things too, having all the facilities. But what about the life of these working class people? This local level as well as the global level. In the same way, I want to give another example about the freedom. We heard, but we have not seen. We heard Shyam Saran visited Nepal. How could he visit Nepal? In this very period of lockdown, all the people are stuck at home. All people are locked down. All people are restricted. And who are restricted? Who are deprived of freedom? Those people are restricted. But Shyam Charan visited Nepal. For what? Why? What is the interest? Political interest, seeking power. That's why this is the how this modality, pattern, structure, or this system of lockdown is implemented in the world as well as Nepal. These are not in the favor of these marginalized people, and especially to those who do not have social security, like Nepal, who do not have employment security, and where there is no any concrete welfare system, like Nepal. They are dying of hunger. They are not basically, they are not, there is no fear of basically contamination of COVID-19 virus, but they are struggling, they are facing the starvation, hunger, miseries. And we have seen on the television screen, in social medias, and news reports, radios, millions of people, especially those migrant workers in abroad, in Malaysia, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, those people are now, they have lost their job. And they want to come to their land, motherland, but government is denying. And their life is in the crisis. They do not, they have not any caring of there. They do not have sufficient or, just to save their life. And even in India, millions of thousands of people are entering to Nepal, carrying their childs and carrying their luggages on their shoulder. This very miserable situation we are hearing. And there is one slogan we made. We also tweeted. We also use in our social medias. Very nice. It sounds very nice. That is, stay home, stay safe. For whom we are wishing these lines? To those people who do not have home, who are lying at the railway tracks, who are walking in the street, who are driven out of their jobs, having no home, having no safety. And we are wishing that wishes are only suitable for those people, ruling groups, as well as those elites having access to the state power or mechanism of the state. We are wishing those things. And those people who have been already driven out of their job, they have become jobless, and they are usually at the road. We have seen in the television screens, people are usually railway tracks on the road, are so many usually public spheres, public places. This very slogan, stay home, stay safe. And both things, these daily wages workers, even within our Nepal, some from the villages, and they move one place to another as a migrant workers. They are unable to pay home rent. They are unable to survive, and ultimately they have to come back to their home, but they are restricted. They are not rescued. And That's why life as well as the freedom. This very life, both things are important. But more important is life. But people are living. Now, people are usually struggling for their life. But they are not fearful to the coronavirus. That's why people are breaking laws and orders. Now, just people are breaking. Now we can see, because it is because of the life is important. But they are ready to be contaminated by COVID-19 coronavirus and ready to be contaminated, ready to struggle against it, but they are not ready to die of hunger, starvation. That's why they are coming out, breaking laws and orders. And this is the situation how this lockdown is implemented. It is from that very perspective, as I have already said. Now, the migrant workers, I have said, within in Nepal as well as in abroad, they are still usually stuck somewhere. They want to come back to the motherland, but they are still restricted over there. That's why there is no rights of freedom, and life is still in the crisis. They are at the risks. And in this situation, what can be done then? How in this underdeveloping countries like Nepal, what should government do? In the context of Nepal, the system or pattern or structure of the lockdown is the system applied or implemented in European countries or developed countries suitable to Nepal, where there is no concrete welfare system, where there is no social security, where there is employment security, and they are glorifying it. We have done this very well. We have implemented this lockdown, and we have followed the same system of that very countries, Europe and developed countries. All those systems are suitable to our country. We have heard even in America, one incident we all know about George Floyd. What happened? Why was he killed? Why? What is the reason behind it? If we political point of view, if we analyze it critically, it is because of the lockdown. He was working in one restaurant as a guard, security guard. Because of lockdown, he lost his job. Then what happened? How to survive? At last, he was arrested as a forgery note. How much money? Only $20. $20 forgery note. He was arrested, and ultimately he was killed. And so many problems are there. Even in that Europe and American countries, developed countries, where there are social security, employment security, or there is a welfare system is usually very systematic over there. They are paying money even usually to survive there. even in that type of the country, people are facing that type of problem. How can we imagine? We cannot imagine the context of Nepal. That's why in this context, the government immediately or should change the modality of the lockdown and concentrating on the problems of those marginalized, as ma'am, Sumita ma'am, Usha ma'am discussed the condition of the female, and so many other the minorities groups are there. They are facing that type of problem. And I just want to focus on these migrant workers as well as the daily wages workers who are paying the money, who are earning the money, who are going to sustain our nation, who are helping to sustain our nation. They are in the crisis, and who are dying, who are being contaminated. And those people are dying. Those people are being contaminated, who do not have those access, who are not enjoying the joys of the state power. This lockdown, that's why it is implemented, it is used from the perspective of the ruling class for in their favor. What I want to focus here. That's why I want to give some suggestions. Then what to do? What should do in this difficult situation? Government. There is one. Our commission is there. National Planning Commission. National Planning Commission, its job or its duty becomes very important. It must plan, make a plan, how to address those people, how to rescue all the migrant workers safely, and how to save all those people, all the daily workers people who have lost their job and who are suffering from hunger and starvation and so many problems, diseases, so many things. Make the plans focusing on that very problems. But if in this context, let's see how I want to connect this problem to the budget of the Nepal. Does the budget address these problems? I think no. I do not think the budget of 2047, 46, 48 does not address the problem of these groups. Budget is talking about those ships and also trains and the 5 years planning and 10 years planning and 20 years planning. But there is no immediate planning to rescue, to protect. What is the objective of the lockdown? Objective of lockdown is to protect. Protection, to give the protection. Protection from the contamination of the virus and protection of life. But government, not in Nepal, but all over the world, ruling people, politicians who are ruling the nation, they are protecting themselves. They are not protecting those minorities groups.
Jivan sir,
this is that's why this National Planning Commission should make the plan to rescue, to protect, to make a plan, and all these groups to address the problems of these groups. Okay, time is running out. I think I'm out of time. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lecturer Jiban Kumar Rai. And it's really the political problem as well for many people for being deprived of getting the relief packages, and not only this, due to the inefficiency of politics and so on as well, many people are suffering, and that's what the great study and presentation. And thank you so much. And well, time I had set was of 3 hours. In fact, it was to have completed within 2 hours, but it has already exceeded, and we don't have much time. But anyway, it's a discourse, and but we have to see the time. Now onwards, we have about 50 minutes on the time. And well, for the reflection of Jiban Kumar sir, here we have Mr. Yuvraj Subedi. He is my colleague as well, assistant lecturer at Kasturi College, and he also teaches at Janta Multiple Campus. And he is the like member of CETROP, NELTA, and so on. So I would like to request Mr. Yuvraj Subedi sir, to start your reflection, please.
Okay, thank you, host. Thank you, Subhash sir. Am I audible? Am I audible, sir?
And time for you is not exceeding 5 minutes. Okay, sir.
Okay, so I try to be brief, sir. Am I clearly audible, sir?
Yeah, clearly audible. Please go on, sir.
Okay, so thank you, host, for organizing such beautiful program. And also for your amalgamation, because you have brought so many different ideas together here, so many different concepts here. So thank you for this one, and thank you for the presenters also who have come with the different ideas together here. So before starting my session, I would like to respect, or I'd like to acknowledge some of the people presented here. I'd like to acknowledge, and my reverence goes to Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel, Professor Dr. Govinda Bahadur Tumahang, and Dr. Ramjit Imsina, and other so many participants here. So today's program is really very much fruitful because it has given us a chance to view the world. It means that it has given us chance to picturize the world, how the world is going now. So because our topic itself, so almost in every topics we have picked up lockdown, the word itself lockdown, and we are, or within the periphery of lockdown, we have been talking about. Now, former presenters also have talked about this one there, and this is an interdisciplinary discourse. Let me tell this one, because here we have brought so many concepts, so many different ideas. Just some presenters or presenters have presented about the women's conditions and media also we have talked about, and now here we are talking about the political or lockdown from political perspective. So many different things have come together, and after or at the end of this the session, definitely we are going to create a kind of picture, the world picture, in what situation we have been living. So thank you the presenter, and thank you for the organizer also. Thank you, host, for bringing such interdisciplinary discourse together. And it is essential also because not only one aspect or not only one field has been affected, but I mean entire so many different fields, almost every field has been affected by, or there has been greater impact on different things there, or different sector, different spheres of life, like educations. Now our colleges or schools have been closed there. Similarly, economic of the country, or even the economic of the world, has been crippled, and our public health also, hospitals are requesting to come to the hospital only in case of emergency. It means this is now whatever we have brought in the discussion, definitely now it's very fruitful discussion, because we have brought so many different ideas together, making a real interdisciplinary discourse here. So thanks for this one. Okay, now here is I have been given the responsibility of making a quick reflection of the presenter Jiban Rai. Okay, Jiban Rai, I congratulate you for your wonderful presentation. Especially, you have brought the idea so clearly there. Right? So it has created, or it has helped us to visualize the present situation of the world, even of the world, and even in our countries there. So who are the most affecting people here? So you have very clearly said that now lockdown is not the same for all there. So very good point you have raised up here. Now some of the people, okay, some of the people might be enjoying this lockdown there. So they are within the house and they are making the delicious foods and enjoying their doing so many creative things there. But this has not been the same case in other marginalized people, especially the vulnerable people there. So who are in there? So especially the daily wages people there. And now the lockdown, the system of government, the patron. So how the government is doing this one there, how it has been implemented. This also has been in question there. Just okay. So now it means that there is not equal treatment to the people. Okay, they not equal treatment there. Just as an example there, the people coming from the India or Nepalese, though they are Nepalese, because they are the marginalized, okay, mostly because for their life, okay, just for their life, they are compelled to go there, visit there for their livelihood there. But now see the context there. So that is why now here this is the time. Okay, so this is the time we have to reconsider the morality of the lockdown there. So it means if it is not equally effective to all there, so only that, so some people there. So before I heard your presentation, I was not much aware about these sorts of thing there, especially that okay, lockdown, okay, it's going on well and it is for us there. So of course it is for us there, but still we have to think from another way also. So if it is or if it is to stop only the spread of pandemic or something else there. Okay, now we need to see this one also there. So first we have to save ourselves there, life saving. Now in most of the cases, what is happening there, instead of getting affected by this virus, we are being affected by the hunger itself there. Now hunger is killing. Okay, hunger is killing, and who is taking care of this one there? Okay, now a great issue has been raised there. So very powerful presentation you have made there. So I was expecting one. Okay, so here some of the note I made here are I noted down some of your presentation here, your suggestions there also. Now government, so what suggestions should go there? So migrants worker, wage, daily wage worker, how to uplift or how to save their life. Okay, that's the important point you have, that the important issues you have raised here. And then the context, okay, the context is not the same for all. And another most important I found in your presentation, that the modality. Okay, so we have been following, or the government is following the modality of the developed countries there, but here now we don't have any security. Okay, we don't have any security, social security, security in our employment. So many such things are there, but still we are following the same. So that is what I also lack, and I found in your presentation very beautiful there. Okay, Subhash sir, how much time do I have now?
Okay. Could you shorten your reflection, sir?
Okay, so I agree with the presentation there. Now we have to focus on this, the protection of life there. So protection of both there. So that's also the fine point you have picked up there. So protection of life and protection of virus there. So how we are working there. So a presentation we have got some chance to see or picturize the world, present world, especially in our context there, marginalized people, vulnerable people there. So how we are are they living, or what sorts of the things are going on their life there. So this is the matter to think about, and government should also think about this very carefully, making this one. So a great presentation. I would like to wrap up my reflection
Okay,
session
thank you.
also here
Thank you
now.
so much,
Okay, thank you,
sir,
Subhash sir.
Yuvraj Vedi, sir, for your beautiful reflection. And well, we have just about 35 minutes time, and we have very most important speakers here to hear. And I would like to move on to the last speaker, the most important speaker as well. It is of Ganeshwar Jha sir. Ganeshwar Jha sir is the associate professor at Mahindra Multiple Campus, Dharan, working. He's from TU, of course, and he's the head of Department of English currently in Mahindra Multiple Campus, and he's in his post-retirement time period, and he has planned to do some great critiques upon some books and so on. And he's the teacher of many speakers and reflectors as well here. He is my teacher. Now, I would like to request Ganeshwar Jha sir to start your talk. It's over to you, sir. Mohan sir, please unmute to sir. Mohan sir?
Excuse me.
Okay. Mohan sir, did you find?
Just unmute Jasa. Okay.
Unmute.
Okay.
Now you can
Hello.
listen to Jasa. Okay.
Are you listening to?
Yes, we are hearing, sir. Please.
Okay. Namaskar, Govind sir and Kedar sir. It's very fine after a long time. I got an opportunity to interact. The time has come. We have been brought in lockdown condition, and I've heard very animated discussions and discourse over here. I have a different subject. The subject you have provided is very broad. It is very difficult to shorten it. But I do believe we should not be consumed with all the hopelessness. Let us muster courage to become hopeful and think about it. I have been asked to speak on lockdown and literature, the point of view of literature. Many people have talked about lockdown. I do believe we have been imprisoned. We have been devoid of all kind of freedom. We feel congested. We are suffering from ill health. Sometimes we have a constipated and congested mindset, but we should be hopeful. I believe that literature encompasses all parts of life. Social, culture, religious, art, architecture, even science, even nuclear physics. They are all part of literature. Literature is a bigger field. But I like to restrict it to certain areas. I like to talk to you what I believe I have experienced in my life. If you move to it, I'm restricting it to 4 genres of literature: drama, poetry, essay, and fiction. And I believe they are all part of life. They talk about life. They talk about dichotomy. They talk about experiences of life. We can find loneliness. We can find pleasure. We can find pain. We can find suffering. They are all. And we have been given a lot of lessons out of it. There is a question, what is the function of literature? It might come to your mind. There are different opinions about the function of literature, but I, being a teacher, or being a student of literature, believe that literature doesn't only teach, it gives us pleasure also. So we can have it. Life is full of struggles. We should not stoop down to all difficulties in life. We should muster courage and feel that we can defeat this unprecedented virus which has come to our life. I remember that literature has free flow. It generates inspiration. It gives confidence. It brings new hope. We can refer to different oppositional. I do believe there is a binary in every way. Whether you want to be happy, but you have become unhappy. So happiness, unhappiness, freedom, loneliness, romance, realism, they're all part of literature. And we find the books are full of such references. We can be inspired. There is another connection between literature and criticism. Literature is a free-flowing river. It has its own way. Criticism comes and tries to give the framework. It tries to restrict it. If you begin from the very Greek period, you'll find that different theories have come down, different principles have come down, which all talked about literature, and literature talks about life. We can remember what Platonic theories are about. Plato believes that the purpose of literature is to teach. Even Socrates was also in the same way, but Aristotle changes. He comes now. Literature does not only teach. Literature gives pleasure also. It gives hope also. It is not only mingling of hope and hopelessness. We should not consume only hopeless. We should be looking forward for the betterment of the life. Sydney has different perspective. Dryden has different perspectives. So there is a correspondence. There is a correspondence between criticism and literature. Literature, just as I mentioned you, wants to flow freely. Criticism tries to make it in a framework. Different perspectives have come. Different dimensions have come. Different periods have produced different literary works, and they have given a complete sublime picture of life. Sometimes we're consumed with romance, sometimes we're consumed with realism, sometimes we're consumed with irony, sometimes we're consumed with all kinds of happiness we want to go, we want to move with. So life is all about literature teaches us to live with it. We have to compromise sometimes. We cannot be same all the time. So time has come. Time has come. We should realize that life is not a bed of roses. Life is not bed of roses. We must realize sometimes we come for what? For the revolution, like Shelley. He wanted newness to come out, but he realizes that romance will not come. Suddenly he says, I fall upon the thorns that bleed. So when there is a romance, there is a realism. So our life consumes both. Sometimes we can remember and move in the world of fantasy. Sometimes we can move to Coleridgean theory where the ancient manner albatross comes out. Sometimes we can move to Kubla Khan where the pleasure dome floats on the ice. But we cannot remain with it all the time. We know if there is a fantasy, we have to return to realism. Different theories, different perspectives come out and teaches us how to live, how to adjust with the situation. We cannot. Sometimes we remember the Renaissance period, how the concept of solitary comes out, how the concept of newness of human life came out. But it was too much. New perceptions came out in new classical period. Restriction was being done. They all approached that it should be restricted. Too much emotion is not good. They gave a decorum. And Dryden, Pope, all came with inscriptions. However, whatever theories they gave, they talked about life. They talked about living. They talked about humanity. They talked about all things we require in human life. It's very important. Suddenly we find romantics came out. They also moved to the same feature of life and literature. They moved to, if you look at the kids, you'll find the life is not only escapism. It is not only inner conflict. You'll find sometimes you come and think that life is completely breached up. But in the same way, we also believe that we cannot remain static all the time. We'll have to move to the world of imagination to survive. Imaginative creativity comes out. Imagination sometimes helps us a lot. We must be remembering something that we are congested, we are lonely, but when you look at the bright side of it, we feel we are still human being. We have still hope. Literature teaches us we should not be stuck to all bad time. We should not succumb to all the misfortune we have. We can move to the world of imagination. We can think that creativity comes to us when we are in the world. Hope always comes out. Imagination and reality always interplay. Sometimes we are in happiness, sometimes we are in pain. So we should not be. Lockdown has seized our time. I know time is a very important factor. We cannot deny that time hampers us. We remember it. I remember how Milton talks about, and he says, though the spring of life has dawned, but it shows no brighter possibilities, no blossom, time that the thief has stolen on his wings of my 21st year. Yes, time takes away. We cannot fight time. Gentlemen, it is a bad time for us. We should not lose hope. We should muster courage to fight it. So literature teaches us, literature gives us, it is a time to look into all sides of things. Even we look at the way Brahms thought and the modes of literature, you'll find what tragedy, what comedy, what romance, what satire. They all talked about life. They all talked about literature. They all talk about hopefulness. Even in romance, you remember the tempest. You remember the tempest, you have a fantasy. You talk about integration, you talk about comedy, you can remember Merchant of Venice, happy ending takes place. This year we shall have a happy ending. We should not be worried about today we are in trouble, tomorrow we shall be. We should not be afraid of tragic things, even tragedy gives us pleasure. When you look at Othello, you'll find he has been coupled, but later on, when we watch it, we find a kind of pleasure. We believe that we are not Othello. We are not Othello. We are a simple being. We should not make mistake. So realization and teaching and pleasure always come to us. Always come to us. We should realize that only pragmatism can help us. Only pragmatism can help us. We cannot move to it. We can remember Arms and the Man. When there is a conflict between romance and literature, romance and realism comes out. Look at the Bluntschli. Bluntschli and Raina, two characters in the play. Raina moving in the world of fantasy, kissing the portrait of Sergius and telling, oh my love, and there comes a character, Bluntschli. He says, look, I'm a professional soldier. I have kept chocolate in my pocket in place of bullet. The Raina is surprised, says that you are a soldier, or you are going to kill the people, you are going to fight with your enemies, and you have put chocolate. He says, lady, food is more important than bullet. So it is a time for us. We are hungry. So even literature is full of such suggestions that can inspire us, make us happy, and we should not forget that we are a human being. We should not fail as a human. We should always move forward with it. And again, I tell you, in a very short time we have, I just want to tell you that I just remember Frost, who says, promises I have kept, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Human creatures are not going to be defeated. We should not move to all kinds of things. And just I mention you that what is indispensable you have mentioned. Actually, if you look into literary criticism, literary theory, there is nothing indispensable. And when you're talking about incongruity, again, I associate it with the literature. I believe that incongruity is the part of irony. And when you look at the irony, it has certain portions that bring us overstatement, understatement, disparity, incongruity, they all come, and they are all found in the modern life, and especially where we are locked down. Where we are locked down, we do not understand what to do, what not to do. We are perplexed. We are consumed with all kinds of confusion. But again, I tell you, hope is better than hopelessness. Let us look at the sky where the cloud is over there, but we should not forget that the rays of hope will come and dispel the cloud, and it will come to us, and we shall be happy again. It is not about nostalgia. It is, we should be looking at tomorrow's bright light, bright future, and bright side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ganeshwar Jha sir. It was really heart-touching tone you expressed, and I felt as if I was somewhere in the theater. And it's great, really, you flowed on the emotion, and that's what we expected once to hear you. Anyway, thank you so much. And now it's time for the reflection of the speaker Ganeshwar Jha. So for the reflection, we are with Dr. Ramjit Malsina sir, and almost all of us know about him. So due to time as well, I'm not saying anything about Dr. Ramjit Malsina directly. I just request Dr. Ramjit Malsina to start your reflection. It's over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Subhasji. Very wonderful sessions going on. I'm happy to be the reflector in one of the, as you have already stated, okay, the most important speaker of the program today. I would like to congratulate all the speakers and reflectors. And I'm happy because everybody has the platform to practice the English we have been forgetting for the last 3 months. This is a good platform, so I like it as an English teacher. And I could find Jhasa, loudest of all. I was happy to see Govinda, Professor Tumbahangsa, Govinda sir, being so happy during Jhasa's presentation. When 2 of my seniors were so happy, I'm happy. Thank you for this happiness, both of you. The topic of our talk and reflection is lockdown from the perspective of literature.
Yes.
As a poet, sometimes, as a critic all the time, as a researcher during this lockdown on poetry, I could see a few very important connections between lockdown and literature. The first thing, the most troublesome aspect of humanity during the lockdown is human psychology. Impact on human psychology of the coronavirus, COVID-19, the greatest of all the impacts. It's the time for every human being, humanity, to preserve the mind so that we can live with hope, as Jhasa said, in the days ahead. And there's the role of literature in preserving the mentality of humanity. That's why many writers at first trying to preserve their mentality, psychological well-being, at the same time, trying to give the well-being to the people in the world. They are working hard during this time, in my observation. But the problem is the writers who themselves are under psychological pressure, how could they save the psychology, well-being of the people? Yes, here comes the value of the writer, different from other type of creators. The writers extend their emotions, their feelings to the society through their writings, through their creations, so that the people in the society can feel it's not only he or she who is in problem. It's the whole humanity that's undergoing the problem. Once somebody feels that it's not only me, even others are in the same conditions. Yes, we can already be happy by half. Because it's not only me in the trouble, everybody's in trouble. It's common life. Why not to exist the way? The writers are playing that role as a responsible social beings in this connection. And the next trend, Jivanji has already indicated here. I'm very happy with his way of presentation and the focus on the topic. He said that around the world, not only in Nepal, we have seen even in the USA, who are the most affected by COVID-19. It is the people who are at the margin. It's the poor, it's the people who are away from their common daily luxury of the life. They have already been impacted. That's why now the writings around the world are concentrated on the plight of the poor. My research, I'm working on it, has found this. The plight of the poor has suddenly emerged as the main topic of literary creations around the world. Every man now feels he and she is poor. People throwing money out of the shacks in Italy, and people running away inside the home, leaving all the property and job outside. Everybody has come to realize we have life that's very valuable. All the other things are more or less not so valuable as life. That very implicit realization of life has come to literature. That's why my time is just 30 seconds left. That's
Yes.
why, in my observation, listening to Jhasa, listening to other, looking at the world around, even my experience as a writer, as a poet, I find the lockdown has both good and bad impact on literature. Good in the sense it has given subject matter, it has given emotion, it has given idea, it has given feeling, it has given time for the writers to create. Bad in the sense the writers who are suffering themselves are in the position to preserve other psychology. So these are the conditions. We can have a long talk about this, but my time is over. Just 2 seconds left. That's why thanking you all. I would like to wrap up. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Very intellectual reflection in the right time. That's very good, sir. And well, now we have completed speakers and reflectors, views, and so on. And now I had set the time 20 minutes for the participants, but we don't have time. We have 25 minutes total time remaining. So I think very few participants can be taken to share their views or to ask the questions. And here I see raising hand here, Prakash and Chandra, I think. So I have to take only three participants' views or questions or queries I'll take. So I request to first Matrika Prasad Bhattarai sir to put your query or to share your views, and your time is 1 to 2 minutes only, please, sir. If you are sharing your views, if you are asking question, you please ask in short.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Am I?
Yes, audible.
Am
Sir.
I being heard? Okay, sir.
Yes, audible, and.
Okay, today's discourse has been really fruitful during this lockdown period. Okay, we really enjoyed this intellectual talk, and what we are doing as a whole in this 5 talk, what I got that a kind of suffering is there. Everyone is being suffered, and the problem is there. Out of the problem, also we have to think a bit positive way. In the cloud, also there is a line, in the same way, a line of hope we have to think, and that sort of thought we need. And to be safe from such disaster and such pandemic condition, we should be ready. For the future also, we may have such condition, and from this, we have to take a lesson. And one more thing is that people are, human beings are exploiting nature, and due to that we are getting such problem, and others it is being hurt. And in this condition, to save the nature, also we have to give some time, and perhaps this nature is taking this time. We haven't given the time, and nature is taking time itself. I think this, and as a whole, our presenters and reflectors, they really presented and reflected the fruitful things, and we got ideas, real ideas, and such activities that we are doing. We should continue it, and in the coming time also we'll do this. Okay, I'm very happy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matrika Prasad Bhattrai sir. He's my colleague as well, assistant lecturer at Kasturi College, Italy. And well, thank you so much for your support. And now I don't see any hands being raised, and we don't have time as well. Our respected Gurunath sir is already with us. He would have asked several questions if we had time, but I'm not allowing since we don't have time. So now we are at the end of our program, and we have our emeritus professors to express their short, concluding note, very short concluding note. So I would like to request Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel sir, who has worked more than 30 years in Mahindra Multiple Campus. We know very well, and he's a writer as well. And I would like to request you to sum up this program in very, very short time, sir. It's over to you, Kedar Prasad sir.
Sir, you are muted. Kedar sir, you are muted. Please unmute. We can unmute ourselves. Okay.
Yeah.
You can listen now?
Yes, we
can
hear you.
Okay, Subhashi, thank you very much for this program. You organized. It's very good thing. I will give you the feedbacks, personally feedbacks to you later, not now.
Okay, sir.
Because of the time factor. My dear friend, Professor Dr. Govinda Bahadur Tumahang, my colleagues, researchers, and dear friends. Just now I remember a story which I had read more than 30 years ago. George Irving had written that story, Rip Van Winkle. Some of you might have read. In the story, what happens? Rip Van Winkle was an American. The character was an American. He was from New York. In the mid 1770s, the character goes to the forest, or the name of the forest is Catskill Forest, to kill the wolves. He carries a gun, but all of a sudden he falls asleep for 20 years. But he does not notice how fast the time passes. He thinks he has slept there for 1 or 2 hours. Thereafter, he looks at his gun. He finds the gun very rusty. 20 years has passed. America has become independent. Previously, it was ruled by, when he went to the forest, it was ruled by King George III. But when he came back, in his place, there was George Washington. And whenever he visited the village, he found everything very strange. People could not recognize, he could not recognize the people. He was claiming that here was my home, there was no home. He was saying his wife's name, there was no his wife. Nothing he finds over there. At the last one, elderly woman looks at him and recognizes him. He was her neighbor. But what happens whenever he goes? Dogs bark, children throw the stones, people run away because his fashion is outmoded. He looks as if he does not belong to that society. This story, I remember, the lockdown is like so, and we have been the characters like Rip Van Winkle. After this long sleep, when the society will be free, again we'll be puzzled, we'll be in confusion, or people may not recognize us, we may not recognize the people. Such situation is coming because even what is happening to the nearby house, we don't have any notice. One experience, one person passed away in my street, but I didn't know when he passed away. When I saw his wife and asked her, "Is thy well, Bauju?" I asked. Bauju nearly wept and said he passed away 1 month before. This is the reality, and we are being very aloof from the society. So social distance means we are being very far from the society. A such situation is coming, and we have been Rip Van Winkle. So our major work is, or when it is over, what should we do? We should struggle again to be recognized by the society, because society will be very far from us. At that time, we should not think that I'm a professor, people have to recognize. No. We should try to be adjusted in new coming society. This is a great challenge to us. We are in transitional phase. This lockdown has given us such transitional situation to us. This I have understood. This is my experience. I appreciate all of the presenters. At least you have tried your best to present us, to share your opinions, your experience with us. Thank you very much. Subhashi, again, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel, sir, for considering time as well. That's a really great suggestion through story as well. We really learned something. And now, at last, Professor Dr. Govinda Tumbahang, sir, is to view his concluding note to us. And I would like to request you to start your talk, or you please, it's over to you, sir. You can start now.
Govinda, you have to unmute yourself first. You are muted. Oh, okay, sir, now.
Thank you, Subhashji. My dear friend, Professor Dr. Kedar Prasad Paudel ji, my colleague Gyaneshwar Jha ji, other distinguished speakers and commentators and participants. Today, I am really enlightened by hearing the speeches of distinguished intellectuals, commentators, I am very happy. So I would like to say something regarding this, subject. Firstly, media, what was his name? Suresh.
Yes.
Suresh Rai just, presented his idea on media. In fact, social media has played an important role during this lockdown period. There is no doubt about it. But to borrow the word of Suresh Rai, this media not only misinform people sometimes, but they disinform too. That is very dangerous. That means, if they just modify or change the version, true version, then it will create a confusion, a negative attitude towards people. It is especially so in the case of national issue, something like the issue of Kalapani, Lipule type of issue. These are sensitive issues, and disinformation on the part of media is very dangerous. So on the other hand, media has played very significant role to educating people like us. You see, how to remain healthy, how to protect ourselves from diseases, from viruses like corona, how to, this very good. But in our country, the gap between the poor and rich is so wide that, poor people cannot access to these facilities. Now, our media is advertising that we have to wash our hands, not only wash, scrub our hands with soap, with water. But here in our Dharan, we don't have water. How to wash with water? And in the village, poor people do not have soap and how to, wash their hand with soap. No, these are the problems still there. You see, so now about, see, after him, I heard the speeches of, what is his name, on education. Now,
Yes, Ramdal, sir.
Ramdal, in the field of education, a big difficulty has arisen, especially. Now here lies a big gap between rich and poor. So now the government itself has released its budget, where it has shown that there are about 30,000 schools, and more than 50% of schools have no access to internet, let alone computers. Well, all right. So the same government is saying that, we have to run classes, online classes. So, on the one hand, there is no possibility on the part of poor students to get such kind of access, you see. So on the other hand, you see, government is doing this. Our constitution has a provision that our country is, our constitution has a provision, socialism oriented, system ours. You see, progressive, socialism oriented system. It means poor and weak are to be given priority, preference over the stronger ones. But here, this is a problem. How to meet this, how to solve this problem is one problem. He has also presented it. I think, we have a collective responsibility to highlight this problem for the benefit, for the interest of the poor, our poor students who are living in rural area. Now, thirdly, see, I have great admiration for Asmita Bista. All right, though she has not spoken about, feminism or something like that, but at least, she just, exposed the discrimination meted out to the women in our society. She has clearly, what I was expecting was, well, in fact, women are by birth not inferior or weaker in any way. Because, our Ved also says that Gargi was the most intellectual lady at that time. She could, hold discussion with Yajnavalkya, who was considered to be a great scholar at that time. She had that capacity. But what happened when, people of patriarchal mindset just, captured these all things. After that, they disinform us, not only misinform, to use the word of, Suresh. They disinform us. They modified, they redefine it, just, suitable for patriarchal society. That was Manu. You see, Manu said that, women, so when she is a child, at that time she is controlled by her parents, and when young, controlled by her husband, and when old, controlled by son, like that. So in the same way, this kind of, patriarchal domination went on. After that, women were considered just like the property of a male. A man could sell his wife, at that time. That was, and after that, slowly, they got the right of, they fought for right of, property, right of, voting, everything. And recently they just, fought for what? Fought for reproductivity. They came to this stage also. Oh, are you just advising me whether I should give birth to a child or not? Huh? This is my body and it is my right, whether I should just, abort myself or I should beget child. This kind of. And after that, Me Too event also, you came to this, too. And in our country, too many, high-ranking, chiefs, high-ranking officers were just shivered. They shivered with fear that women would drag them to their, sexual harassment activities in the past. You see, you might have read, the Kathmandu Post, where the sexual acts, perpetrated by lecturers or professors were just, written down, published, such kind of, Me Too. And now my point is, now after the lockdown, now Me Too type of, activities are not on, because family, both husband, wife, everyone is in a family. And even if husband goes out, then husband doesn't go out, wife also doesn't go out. There is no misunderstanding between the two. Only, a couple of days before, my friend, phoned me. I said, how are you? Oh, quite well. We are very well these days. And don't you have any quarrel with your wife? No, these days. I am all day long at home, and she is all day long at home. So, no misunderstanding, nothing like that. So this kind of relationship, because of the lockdown, some of my,
Sir?
huh?